morning, everybody, from Noyan, Quebec, Canada. Our program is called What's Going On Here. I'm Bob Venn. Calvin Castine has the camera. You're watching Hometown Cable, another one of our Sunday shows, and we're not running out of things to do in the United States, but we met a Mr. Paul Kaiser when we were at Bordeaux Brothers and got talking to him, and then he mentioned his his son has a cheese factory up here, and Calvin made contact, and here we are. We sometimes forget that we're just above the border. You know, we're only about 4 miles at the most, 3 maybe, above the border, and we know nobody up here at all. We traveled on, as Calvin mentioned, we were on the McCollum Road, Laterno Road, and I forget the name of this road, but those are common names right here in our northern tier, and we just don't know these people. Beautiful big barns, big farms up here, and they're all still in existence. Of course, they're getting better milk prices, and this is the combination of French and German. The Kaiser family originally started in the Black Forest. We found out in talking to his father, Paul. We're going to be talking with Fritz. We're going to go inside. Please stay tuned, and we're going to show you how you make cheese. Yes, it's still me with my hairnet and my white boots on. We've been through a solution. Very, very careful. Fritz is up on top, and he's going to open up the container. They've been mixing the cheese and getting it ready. We're going to put it in the container. Here it comes. Now, they've already been doing this earlier this morning. We didn't get here to see them mix it, but we'll get more information as we go. That's what you call soft cheese. We'll find out more about what we're seeing as soon as it gets emptied out here, and we see a lot of round containers. You'll see a lot of stainless steel when you're talking about dairy products being made into cheese. Stainless steel all over the place, nice and clean, and is that whey at the other end?
Whey,
that's the whey.
Yeah.
Tough to get rid of today, too. I'll talk to you about it later.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. We have pigs.
Pardon?
We have a pig barn.
Okay. You have a pig farm, too?
Yeah.
They used to put it into the streams. Right? They used to throw it in the river.
Yeah, not anymore.
I know. What's coming out? You can see the liquid, and that's what they call the curd.
The cheese curd.
That's the cheese curd. The balance is what you would know as whey.
As whey, which is used for pig feed.
Okay, here it's coming off here. This is the cheese curd. Many years ago, they used to dump this right into the rivers.
Right.
Correct? And then there was complaints, and then no, you can't do that anymore.
Not anymore. So a lot of it is used for pig feed.
Okay.
Pig feed, or some use it for drying, like whey powder.
Okay. Is there a lot of protein in there?
There's some
protein.
But what you want to do is get the protein in the cheese.
Yeah, the cheese, right.
There's some proteins in there that you can't get out with.
Right. Now, a little tougher. About what percentage is whey and what percentage is curd as we look at it?
The yield is about 10%. That means you have 10% cheese, 90% whey.
90% whey, yes. Now you put milk in there this morning.
Right.
How many gallons?
7,000 liters.
7,000 liters, all right.
So
you figure that out for yourself.
Okay, it's pasteurized milk.
Yes.
It was in there this morning. I put culture.
A culture to make it start to ferment or whatever?
No, it's to give flavor to the cheese and to reduce the lactose into milk acid, the lactic acid.
Okay.
To help ripen the cheese and to conserve the cheese, especially for the flavor, of course.
Okay, what makes it separate?
With rennet. We add rennet.
Okay, you add rennet.
So when it coagulates, then it's cut. We can show it to you later. It's cut with knives.
Okay.
Inside into the curds.
Okay.
From then on, it takes about an hour until it's like that.
In the tank?
The tank. Means it's mixed. You take part of the whey out. You add hot water directly to the cheese, or to the curd mixture. That brings up the temperature of the curd. And also the curds, when you start out, you're about 5 times the size. So what you do is with the hot water, you shrink them, you push the water out. You have less water in the cheese after. Because you want to regulate the moisture and fat content in the cheese.
Right. So you buy the milk from the farmers yourself, or from somebody who buys it from the farmers?
About half the milk I get from my father's farm. Yes. And the rest is trucked in from farmers in the area.
And you buy all their milk?
From the farm.
From the farmers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do when their milk production goes down or goes up? Do you still take all their milk?
No, it goes by the federation, and I order by week how much milk I need.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, you don't buy it from the farm, you buy it from the federation?
From the federation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that's it. You can't buy directly from the farm.
Okay.
It goes by the federation. But like from the own farm, I pick it up and I pay the federation.
Okay. Does your needs of milk vary much during the year?
In the summer, it's a bit lower.
Lower in the summer?
So we have the specialty that goes more in the winter, the raclette.
Okay.
So we start producing more in August, from August till March.
August to March. So you're just past the peak period. Yeah. What kind of cheese do you make?
The one that's in the peak is a raclette.
No,
I make raclette, you make saint-Paulin, Noyan.
Oh, you do make different ones?
Oh yeah, it's about a dozen.
So you make it different?
It's different temperatures, different cultures.
Okay, the culture is what does it.
Culture and also the aging. Some of the cheese aged in coolers. It's turned every day, which we'll show later.
Okay.
And some is just covered with a plastic film to keep it from contamination. And some is aged for 8 months. So it's really it's different methods.
So this is going off into another tank?
It's going into tanks across the street for the pigs.
Okay. Now what do you feed with that to the pigs?
A special mixture of
mix corn, with it. Okay.
Corn
okay.
And special grains.
Can your pigs eat all that you get?
No, I'm selling some.
Okay.
Or I give some away, I should say.
Okay, yeah, you'd be glad to give it, yeah. So sometimes they make whey from this?
Whey powder.
Whey powder, okay.
Right.
Whey powder, and they used to make buttons?
That's right.
At one time in Champlain, at the milk plant, they used to make the whey powder, and it went from making buttons and various other items.
Right.
Yeah. Many people don't know we had that in Champlain. They kind of forget. You know, it's been several years.
Yeah.
The old Bob Dooley Champlain Creameries in Champlain. Were you familiar with the Champlain Creamery?
No,
they didn't make cheese there, I don't think. I think they just separated it and sold. Why would they separate it in Champlain if they did not make cheese?
Well,
cream?
It's still same here. Well, they would bring the whey there. Either bring the whey there.
No, they took whey away. No, I don't know what they were doing, really. I don't really know. But they had the whey. I think maybe they were separating. If you take the cream out, does that leave whey? No?
Leaves thin milk.
I don't think they made cheese in Champlain.
Unless they trucked in the whey and separated them.
It's possible. It might have, yes.
That's what they do today.
And they had a spray that would blow it out into a powder.
Okay, that's whey powder.
Okay, they were making whey powder from whey they got from the places.
From the spray process.
Okay.
And they're still doing that today.
Right. So this cheese is Roquefort, you said?
No, this is Noyan.
Noyan.
It's a tilsit type.
What kind?
Like a tilsit.
Tilsit. All right, yes.
What happens here actually, there's as you saw the screens before in here.
Yes.
So the cheese stays up here. Now the base goes down and is pumped out. Later you see we pre-press it. We pre-press the curds, and then it's cut into cubes, and then it's pressed.
Okay, you'll be doing that after all
after the whey is
out of it. Right. That's not empty yet.
Not yet. It will be soon.
Okay. All right, we'll take a short break and come right back. We're at Fromagerie Fritz Kaiser. We're in Noyan. This is Fritz right here. We'll talk to him a little bit more about who he is, how he got here, and how he got so smart to make cheese. Want to step inside? Oh, okay.
Maybe cloudy and pretty wet day outside. We're going to hit a high maybe of 9 degrees on the Saturday.
Okay.
It's raining 4 degrees downtown. We've got more traffic to be next year.
Right, the hand you see going across the screen once in a while, we're getting some moisture on the lenses, and Calvin has been wiping it off. We've stepped out of the producing area while it's turning more into the curds come in. We're in the cooler, not a freezer, cooler.
Cooler.
A
Right.
cooler. What temperature do you usually keep?
10 degrees.
10
Celsius.
Celsius.
See, we're all
Okay.
metric. We're all metric.
Oh
here.
yes. Now he's got the best job of all. Now he's a painter.
Right.
Now what is that he's putting on?
It's a special coating to protect the cheese against moisture.
Okay.
Against molds, I should say.
Right now,
And against moisture loss.
when is that put on there? When it first comes in here?
When it first comes in, first it's, as you see out there, then it's pressed in molds, then it goes in the salt, in the brine solution.
Okay.
After the brine, it's dried off, or just let drip off, and then it's painted, and it takes 3-4 coats each side until it's finished.
How long does it have to be? How long from the time you come out of your vat and you press it until it comes in here?
This is actually production from yesterday.
Yesterday's. All right. And has it been in here at all, or has it been out of here?
It just came in this morning.
Just came in. All right. All right. How many pounds roughly will you get out of that?
One, it's about 1,500 pounds.
1,500 out of about 7,000
Liters.
Liters. Okay.
So it's about 15,000 pounds of milk.
Mm-hmm. And how many pounds or liters? Not liters, but what's the weight of one of these?
2 kilo.
2 kilos.
About 5
4
pounds.
Okay.
5 pounds.
All right.
It's
We
about-
just don't talk the same language here.
No.
Yes.
So you get about 300 wheels like that per tank.
300.
Right.
Right. Now, do you keep any inventory here? Does it go out nearly as quick as it's ready?
We have some inventory that's finished, but this cheese stays about 2-3 weeks. It's about
Okay.
1 week in here, then 2 weeks in cold storage, and then it's sold.
Okay. And do you? I forget what I wanted to ask you here. Does it have to be wrapped?
After once it's finished
Yes.
painting, it's dried, so it
Yes.
doesn't stick, and then
Yes.
it's vacuum packed.
It's vacuum packed. Okay.
You put a label on it,
Yeah.
and then it's vacuum packed and weighed and boxed.
So you have to weigh each one separately.
That's right.
Okay. All right, we're seeing it here, and this man in here works all the time, right in here. That's his main job.
Well, it'll be done by noon.
He'll be done by noon. Let me just see where he got his. Can I talk to him a minute here? Where did you get your painting experience? Huh?
Where did I get my painting?
Yes. You do very well there. Look at that. Now you got to do each one of these 4 times.
Yeah, at least 4 times.
Uh-huh. And your name?
Donnie.
Donnie?
Donnie, yeah.
Okay. You have 8 on each one of those. They fit right on top of each other. Do you ever fill this up in here? Not really,
Yes.
huh? It will fill up? Oh,
Well,
yeah?
It was full this morning, actually.
It was.
We moved some out to get it cooler to dry, and then it's nice.
Now, does someone else come and pick it up, or do you have your own truck to deliver it to your places?
With our own truck.
You have your own truck that delivers. Yeah. When you're not painting, Donnie, what do you do?
When I'm not painting,
Yeah.
wash veranda, wash some racks,
Uh-huh.
sometimes wash cheese.
So you do this every day,
This in the morning, paint cheese in the morning,
paint cheese in the morning.
and then in the afternoon I usually do other jobs.
Uh-huh. Now you'll paint, how often can you're doing this 4 times. When's the next layer going to be put on?
Next layer tomorrow morning.
Oh, that long?
Yeah.
You do it once a day?
Right.
Each day for 4 days?
Distracting me.
Don't miss your count here now.
No.
Are you putting them over there without all being all done?
Yeah.
This guy may not be here very long. You know that, huh? You know that, Fritz. Boy,
cut on to it, right?
Yeah, can you imagine if I were a girl doing this? Why, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Thank you, Donnie. I'll let you keep that. You want to make sure this is done. Anybody out there who's buying any cheese and this don't have enough coats, it's because Donnie was doing it while I was here. What's that coating?
It's a special food plast imported from France.
Okay.
It's like a waxy substance, but it's edible.
And it does,
People don't eat it, but it's edible.
Okay, it's not a flavor to it.
No.
It's to preserve it.
It's just to preserve it and to protect it.
So it gets kind of thick by the time you take it off?
Not really.
After four layers, no?
No, it's still quite thin. It just covers it nicely. And also, you give the cheese a distinction. Like sample A is orange. You have some, it's Port Royal, it's a double cream, we paint it yellow. And then we have one, it's called the Black Sheep, which is painted black, of course.
Okay.
It's just the black sheep of the family.
All right, I've seen the black. Believe it or not, when I worked at Customs, I used to be in charge of all the cheese importations. I didn't know much about, I know a little bit about cheese, but most of the cheese we got was mozzarella.
Right.
We got it from Saputo.
Right.
That was shipping in from Canada. We had a lot of mozzarella, very little other kinds of cheese. We had a little. We had one called Old Bra.
Right?
Yeah? Someone said, are you sure? I said, absolutely, Old Bra. And we had some Roquefort, and we had maybe a few, but the big one was mozzarella. Okay, this is where, all very important, oh, look at the how clean, all white in here, and you're inspecting, I assume, quite often. Huh?
Right.
Okay.
Federal and provincial.
Okay. Thanks, Donnie.
Okay.
Don't forget any of those. We'll tell you. When you forget, you can tell right away, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I miss it, I'll do it tomorrow.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Now they're on boards, right?
Right.
And these have been in here for a week. Did you tell me they were in here for about a week?
No, they're more.
More?
Like these stay for 2 months in here.
2 months.
Well, 6 weeks to 2 months. Like the top ones are ready.
Right. And you keep moving them?
No.
Oh, okay.
We just finish the top, and then we're gonna empty this out and clean it up and fix the cooler up because we have other coolers.
So what is this? Is a plain cooler?
Not really. It's an aging room.
Oh, aging room. So is there any kind of special things in the air that make it age?
No, it's a lot of humidity.
Okay, a lot of humidity.
Let's say 90% humidity. The temperature has to be constant. We exchange the air to get fresh air in here because the byproduct of the rind, which is natural rind, is ammonia. So the bacteria produce ammonia, and you want to get rid of that. The cheese itself, it's natural rind. It's called red smear or Bacterium linens, and we see another cooler after. It's turned every day when they're young, and washed with a sponge.
In here every day?
In here, yes.
Is that right?
And so you apply the culture or the bacteria, and it's the same effect as the painting, of course. It protects the cheese against mold and against any other bacteria that could attack it.
But isn't making cheese you need mold?
Not bad mold, no.
Okay, but
like
good mold. All right.
Mold, yeah. But these are bacteria.
Okay.
Not mold. The white is a mold and some yeasts that help the bacteria grow on the cheese, and also gives the cheese a distinct flavor. Because the red smear bacteria gives it a more nutty flavor. You have these. That's a Noyan. That's ones we're producing now out there. Over here we have the reblochon.
What is this?
Reblochon. It's a soft cheese.
Okay.
You see, it's much softer.
And it will taste different?
It will taste different. Similar, but different, more creamy because it's more moisture in it.
Okay. So you know that you can sell so many of these and you bake it accordingly, right? Okay.
Right.
Which do you rather make, this or this?
The bigger the better.
The bigger the better?
Yeah, because the bigger they are, the less work you have with them. Because like small, it takes as long to wash one of these as it takes
exactly.
to wash a big
but
one.
Is this sell higher price than that?
It does, yes.
That makes up a little bit.
Yes, right. You have no choice but to make up for that. These are made yesterday. See, they're still white.
Right. So they'll turn more yellow as they...
As the culture grows on them. This starts already.
Now, do you have to do something to have the culture stop?
No.
Oh,
It stays with the cheese.
Okay.
Actually, it's edible. It's
So
it's
it continues to get more
Yes.
ripe all the time?
Yes. So the only way you stop it is you pack it and put it in a cooler.
Okay. We used to get a lot of cheddar at one time
Right.
into the States. And that, there was a special rate of duty if it was over 9 months old. And they had, when you talk about cheese and you talk about the quality, you're talking about score.
Right.
In your cheese too?
No,
Is there any
no.
score to yours?
In Europe, yes.
Okay.
Not here. Here it doesn't make a
They
difference.
always would say, what's the score? That means what's the quality? And there was 10 points for looks, so many points for each one. And if you had a 93 or more score, you're talking about top quality cheddar anyway. But you don't necessarily do this in the in Canada or the United States. Does any of your cheese go to the United States?
Not yet. No.
Not yet.
It's very hard, as you know from customs, very hard to get.
Oh,
it
yes,
across.
yes, and there are
Because you need the quota, you need import license.
Okay, this is a quota on yours too, right?
Right.
Yes. Now the quota, you're only allowed to bring in so many. This man don't get the quota. The importer has the quota. He's allowed to bring in, let's say, 10,000 pounds, and he can bring in, he can get it anywhere he wants. But he may already have his suppliers, and as long, it's not as if he had the quota and he'll go find his own. It's the quota is on the importer, not on the exporter.
Well, the only thing from our side is you have to be federally inspected, which you
Yes,
are.
yes.
So from our side, we're ready to export. What it takes is on the other side an importer.
Yeah, right. You got to remember, there's a reason for quotas, is because our dairy industry in the United States is pretty low. We're not getting much for our milk, and the farmers are in tough shape. And if we allowed a lot more cheese to come in, or anything with dairy products, it's going to make our market all the least. That isn't to his benefit, but that's the reason for it. They're well protected here in Canada. There's quotas in here from the United States, same way.
And from Europe, of
And
course.
from Europe, yes, because they can control their own. All right. There's only 2 kinds of cheese in here now.
Right.
Okay.
We have more coolers with different kinds.
You do have more coolers.
Right. So
Okay.
If you want to go there, there's
Yeah, we'll take a
there's
break.
men working there.
We're kind of doing this a little bit backwards because they're not quite ready to pour and make the molds. But once the molds are made, they come in here next?
Once the cheese is pressed,
Yes.
and then the pH is at the right
The pH,
place.
what's the pH?
The acidity in the cheese.
Okay.
It's very important to break it at the right moment. If the pH is too high, you're going to have a problem later on in the aging.
Okay.
Because if there's too much lactose in it, it will restart to produce lactic acid. You're going to have a problem with the cheese after. So you have to wait till the bacteria do their job, bring down the pH, or bring up the acidity, and then you put it in the salt in the brine.
What if you waited too long? You can't do much about it then, huh?
Too long is less a problem.
Okay.
But still, you want to cut it off at the right time.
Okay. You bring them in here once you get
Right.
them there, and you immediately put them in this brine solution.
In the brine. These are bigger ones. That's raclette. They're about
Raclette?
7 pounds each.
Oh, these are bigger, huh?
They're bigger. The smaller ones you saw on the racks.
Yeah.
You put them in with the racks in the big tub, like you sink
In
them
here?
In there. Yeah.
Okay, if the whole rack, the ones we saw, will go right in here. They'll be immersed, and they'll stack them right up in there.
Just stack right in there.
And you see there's the falls right there that they drop them in with. They bring a whole stack, and then they'll drop it right in. Do they come in on a container? That metal things on the side?
On the racks.
Yes.
None of the racks, like where he's
Yes,
painting at.
yes.
Those they stack
The
together.
whole rack.
And then the whole rack sits in there.
Okay. And then the big ones go in here.
Big ones go in there at night. The first day they're just put flat. You put salt on it. And the next day you just stand them up. They stay in here 24
You
hours.
add salt to them?
Yeah, salt to them. There's salt on top now.
Uh-huh. What does the salt do?
It neutralizes the surface of the
Yeah.
cheese. It firms up the cheese on the outside.
Okay.
Of course, gives it its salt content.
Is that what makes the rind to a certain extent?
It's very important for the bacteria, the salt.
Okay.
It neutralizes the surface so they can grow on it.
We asked you off camera that you could eat that cheese right now,
You could.
but it wouldn't be as flavorful.
And it wouldn't be the cheese that it will be
Okay.
in 2 months.
Okay. So the longer you wait, the better it will be?
It will be, yes.
Okay. Do you make your cheese any different than anybody else who makes the same type of cheese? I'm not asking you how, but
No, there are different ways, but the base is the same.
if you had cheese, could you tell yours from somebody else's?
Absolutely.
Oh, you could, because yours is the good one.
You're right.
All right. Any of your family work with you in here?
My wife.
Your wife, but no brothers?
No brothers or sisters. No.
Okay, because there's 7 of you, I think they said.
There's 7, right?
Right, okay. We'll ask you when we get outside about how you started and so forth. So that they come in here, then you'll put them on the boards in
like,
here.
Like this afternoon when they're done,
Yes.
they go on the boards and then they go in the aging room.
Okay. Now there's that big, that's a 7-pounder over there on top? That's way more than
No,
7
that's more,
pounds.
it's about 12 pounds.
12-pounders, all right. Are there certain people who want the big ones and certain?
Yes, like for restaurants, we have,
Yes.
like in here you have a bigger one too.
Okay.
It's a bigger rock, about 6 kilo.
Yes.
Then you have the small ones, they're 3 kilo.
That's for the restaurants?
The small ones are mainly for the stores.
Okay.
Because they don't want the big cheese, so they don't have too much waste.
Exactly.
Or
Okay.
faster turnover.
The temperature in here, it's cooler.
About 8 degrees, so it cools the salt, the brine.
Okay. Okay, we'll be back.
Like on the way it, somebody puts on the press. It's about the whole process for the way.
Okay. Now you're cutting it in squares and putting it in a round container.
Right.
And then you'll press it down more?
So it's pressed with these presses here.
Okay. Then you want to get... These are the units that will be used, and they'll be pressed down. Now they're a... How do you press them down?
This is the weight of the plates.
Just the weight themselves? Okay. Just the weight will go down. And that's to get the cheese more dense. Right?
More dense so we can cut it after.
Yeah. So they can cut it, and they'll be cutting it with these units over here. You have to put up with the wiping because there's a lot of moisture, lots of moisture in this unit. And they'll be put in these, which are really, you see, there's a container, but this, now that will,
This cover,
yeah.
this also has a screen.
There's another screen, yeah.
It's pressed. Like that, it closes up the cheese on the outside, it gives it its shape. But what you don't want, if you wouldn't have this, you'd have a whole bunch of small holes on the outside
Okay.
of the cheese. And every opening of cheese, of course, would let mold or any foreign matter grow in there, and you want to avoid that. Make it nice and smooth on the outside. It's going to be easy to paint or easy to ripen, and it closes the cheese off.
Okay. You'll notice there's holes in the bottom where the moisture will come out. Moisture can go through. And how long do they stay in this container? Not very long.
About 2 hours.
2 hours.
They're pressed for about 45 minutes. When they're taken out, they're trimmed. They will push out a bit on the side, will be trimmed. They will be left in the mold till the pH is at the right setting, and then they go in the brine.
So the pH is still being affected during this period.
Here it's very important, yes.
These are the presses right here. I wondered what those were. That whole plate will be pressed down to take the moisture and to press it together. Just the weight of those plates is enough. You don't have to put any pressure on them. Now, you don't do any more today, do you?
In the meantime, it's filling.
It's filling up right now. What has happened now is a big tractor trailer, a tank has come in with milk from the farmers that he has purchased from the Federation. They're emptying it into his own tank truck because he's not allowed to pick up anything in his own tank other than their own farms. And that's his storage tank, which then pumps it into here. How many batches a day do you make?
2 batches.
Makes 2 batches a day. So you start pretty early.
I start, I'll get up 5 o'clock, start about 20 after 5.
And that's today's milk or yesterday's milk?
That's yesterday and today's milk from this morning.
Okay.
Like the milk for early morning we pick up the day before.
Okay.
And then we get new milk for the second batch.
So it takes about 3 hours in the vat?
Total, it takes 1 hour to fill it. And then another 2.5 hours after that.
An hour to fill it?
Right.
Why does it take so long to fill it?
The system is a bit small. We put this vat in only a year and a half ago. Before we had 2 small tanks. Then it was fast, now it's a bit slow, but it's still it's the right time because it gives time for the first batch to get going and to get out of the way. Even if it went faster, you would have had to wait after.
Okay.
So it doesn't make a difference.
How many employees do you have, Fritz?
It depends on the season, between 9 and 11.
That many? You have more than one shift?
No, just one shift. Well, 1.5, because one starts early normally. And then I have 3 salespeople on the road.
So you're done at a reasonable hour in the afternoon.
Yes, we're done by 5.
By 5? Well, that's still a full day.
Yeah.
You get here at 5 o'clock?
No, about quarter after.
Quarter after 5?
Yeah.
You're better to be a farmer. You don't get up at 5 o'clock, do they?
Yeah, but I have weekends off.
You're right. You have the weekends off. How old are you, Fritz?
I'm 37.
37. We were talking. One of 7. You were born in Europe or in Canada?
Switzerland.
In Switzerland. Okay. Because your dad went from the Black Forest to Switzerland where he had a farm.
That's right.
And then came over to the United States in 1955?
To Canada.
I'm sorry, to Kent, 1955, 53?
No, in 75.
In 75?
They came over. And I came over in 78.
Okay, I misunderstood. Oh, okay. So you were grown up when you came here?
I finished my apprenticeship in Switzerland.
So you were in the cheese factory and apprenticeship in
Switzerland.
Oh, okay. This is where they're cutting it. Look how hard it is. It's quite firm, as you'll see. Very firm. Okay, he's filling up several of the containers right now. In other words, I thought they'd be coming up with a whole block, but there aren't. That's merely so you can get the pieces together. That's cheese, my guys, right there. And because they're uniform relative, they'll be roughly the same weight, but we'll all have to be weighed independently. Obviously, this has to be, it's ready now. So we'll kind of talk here as this is happening. It still loads pretty quick. Everything you eat, anything you buy, no matter whether it's edible or not edible, there's a lot of people involved to make various items. There's a lot of jobs involved. And this shows you that, remember, you have a farmer who's making a living raising crops to feed his cattle, to produce milk. He sells it to the Federation. The Federation tries to make a little bit of money. Federation is selling it to Fritz or someone else. We got 9 to 11 people making a living here, except for the owner. Then the people who made the containers, making a living out of this. As soon as they finished cutting, they took over, and he's down now here. He's probably going to. He's on a scale now, and if it's not quite full, I don't know what will happen. You'll notice when they get toward the end, when it's broken up and they can't pick it up, he's using one of the containers as a screen to pick it up in itself. Those squares are pretty uniform because of the cutting. Okay, so he's using one container to fill the other to come up with a certain weight. It's a scale he's on to keep within a given perimeter. Got to realize we're right here during the one of the major parts of their day, so we got to go along with them. The phone is ringing. I don't know if anybody's out there to pick it up. There's where the tops are going on to push it down. You'll see those little tops he's putting. And then they put the flat layer so that when they compress with this thing, the whole thing will be compressed. When they get the pressure, those will go down. Next time you buy cheese, you'll have some idea how cheese is made. And basically, most of the cheese starts out in the same manner. It's a matter of what they're adding to it to get it started, to make a flavor, and how long, and the pH and the rest of the things, and then how it's cured and everything else, and how long it's cured, and under what conditions. I don't think there's much difference. Cheese is cheese. You notice there's holes in the bottom as the water comes down, or the whey comes down, it's draining off onto the floor here. That's why we got boots on. Even Calvin has a net and his boots. And we're the good guys because we got white boots. We're talking about the, people earning a living. You got the plastic man, the men who deliver it on the trucking company. You've got the wholesaler who buys the cheese and he sells it to the independent stores. The independent stores hire people in their store. All this to make one product. Then they wrap it in a shrink wrapping. Someone has to make that plastic. Someone has to make the products that makes the plastic. And that's what, when one of those persons is not working, it affects all the others all the way down the line. So if cheese isn't selling, the farmer and all the way back, they don't produce quite as much, and therefore someone's going to be off work. We just saw in a paper this morning where Bombardier is back a little bit and laying off 25% of their people in Plattsburgh. That's a temporary thing, but the person who's affected is very concerned about it. You can see how it's drying up in here now. Most of the liquid's out. It's getting very firm now. Firming up very quickly. Remember, you saw a lot of liquid before. That's all out now. There's holes on the bottom. This is all leaked down. All the moisture went down to the bottom. Here you see the compressor. It's compressing these down. You can see some of the bottom ones have gone in over an inch. And every day it's the same thing. I wonder how much cheese these people eat every day. Probably so sick of seeing cheese. Although when I was on the farm and I milked the cows every day, I still drank my share of milk and ate my share of eggs with the chickens. See, there's about 5 to 6 inches thick. And then when they cut it, it's about 5 or 6 inches square. And I think he said that's about 10% of the overall volume that was put into the tank originally. About 1,500 kilos he'll get out of this. We'll hear more later about how Fritz did his training when he was back in Switzerland. Where else can you get better cheese experience than in Switzerland? No idea how many cuts there are. There's 1, 2, 3. They're about 10 wide and probably 20. It's probably at least 200 to 220 dishes at each one of these. You certainly can understand why they're very, very careful with not to bring anything into this building that shouldn't be here, including us, that with the hairnet for one, and then make sure there's no bacteria on our shoes or anything else. You step into a solution, in and out. See the water coming out, that's getting the pressure. Doing the squeezing.
Fritz has given me permission to come up and see inside. I'll give you an idea where we are, where the milk comes in and where the curds and whey are made. A big tank, a lot like a farmer's bulk tank. There's agitators inside stirring this mixture up. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like from up above. And these guys have been busy beavers since they started this process. The cheese seems to firm up rather quickly, and they don't waste any time down there. There's a variety of stainless steel pipes. And pails over that way. I am sure when they finish up that there'll be very little left in the bottom of this tank. They're under next to the last press here, so they have to know exactly how much they've got. They can't make any more cheese than what they can press, so we'll see how close they come. See how much compression we have. These ones in the end are just about even, and doesn't take long for initial compression to take place, and it kind of stalls. There are 7 rows in this back 3, and he's going 8 rows now. And 8 rows high. That's why the difference in the height. I don't think 8 rows is going to do it in this last compression area. Looks like they're going to have a few left over. We'll see what happens. I'm sure you can tell from your screen that the curds look a lot like what you find in cottage cheese, only with the whey removed, it's really thickened up. And again, looks like 8 high is not going to do it here. They're going to have to go. They're going to have to put some aside. Now I'm sure they'll scrape up what's left in the bottom of the stainless steel tub. It looks like a dustpan, but it's obviously an item made specifically for this type of business. But there's enough for at least 1 and maybe 2. And we're going to hand the microphone back over to Bob, so don't go away. Before I turn it back to Bob, there appears to be, there is some kind of compression going on in that, on this far side here that I didn't notice at first. So, different type of compressor there. Dairy farmers are very used to the idea of washing their equipment after use.
One of the difficult things that we were talking about way back is the pH. Well, he just drained a little bit off one into that cup. You'll see right here. And he's going to now find out the pH to see whether it's been set in here long enough. And if not, let it go longer, so it'll be about the right pH. Look at that, how that's dried off, even though it's moist. See what it looks like right now. Look at that. It's firm. Yep. Let me take some of this here. Now that's ready.
So I almost ready. We're going to press another 20 minutes.
Another 20 minutes? Not at the, because of the pH.
pH and the guys go on break.
Okay.
So we wait another 20 minutes.
You give them a break, huh?
Yeah.
They need one probably, huh?
Need one, yeah.
Now you've been going for nearly 5 hours, right? to get that first batch.
Right.
Okay.
So once it's finished pressing, because you have a rim here, this comes off.
You do that by hand?
By hand, all of them. It goes very fast. Takes about 20 minutes for the lot. And then it's just left in the molds until the pH is right. And then they go in the salt.
You take the rim off before it's finished in here?
No, just once it's finished.
When it's finished, okay. Yeah.
You can do it after the break.
Now, is it pretty uniform all the way through now?
Yeah.
It don't have those individual...
It might have still a little bit of holes,
Yeah,
so
still.
that's okay.
Okay.
But this is not a hard pressed cheese, it's just pressed to give it the shape. You'll have small openings inside.
I wanted to tell you that if you're concerned about your weight, I don't eat cheese. He works with cheese and eats a lot of cheese, and it's okay with him. So I guess you can eat all the cheese you want and still stay slim, right?
That's right.
I'm going to start eating cheese.
Good for you.
All right. They all wore aprons. They didn't make us wear an apron. He took his apron off. Now this is, I assume, is the milk coming in from your tank.
That's right.
Going through and going to your big tank.
This is raw milk.
Raw milk.
Straight from the farm. It goes through the pasteurizer.
It's pasteurized here?
Pasteurized, yes.
Okay.
What you do in the first section, you have a heat exchanger for the hot milk, warms up the cold, so you save a lot of energy. And then it goes in the heater. It's heated up to 170 degrees Fahrenheit for 18 seconds. You have the holding tubes in the back. In the holding tubes. It stays in there for 18 seconds, which makes it legally pasteurized. And
18 seconds to get pasteurized?
Yes, at a certain temperature.
Uh-huh.
Before it goes into heating, if the fat content is too high, we take some cream out.
All right, we're talking fat. It's butter fat. Normally, the farmers are paid based on the amount of butter fat in their total milk. They used to shoot for 3.5. That was a very good test. So if it's higher than that, it takes cream off?
We take cream off to bring it down, depending on the cheese, to 3%, to 3.2, to 3.4, to 4.1%. So 4.1 would actually add on cream.
Right.
It would be a double cream cheese.
Okay, do you ever have so much cream you have to sell your cream?
We make butter.
You make butter?
Right.
Oh, you make butter also?
Right.
Okay.
There's always surplus of cream.
You have a churn in here? Where
Yes,
you
we do.
Oh, you do? Okay. So you sell butter also?
Right.
All right. Now these various vats here, are those anything you can tell me about?
No, this is just cream.
That's cream, okay.
That's just cream in these.
All right.
But once you finish with the milk, it's pasteurized.
Right.
And it goes into a cooler to cool down.
Okay, so what you mean it stays in that cooler for a while?
For 2 days.
For 2 days?
It's cream of 2 days, then we make butter.
The cream, okay. Now, you'll notice all these very fancy hookups here, and I assume that's so you can take things apart and clean them, is that
right?
It's very important that these are cleaned every day.
Every day.
Right. Do you take them apart too?
Not these.
Okay.
But it's CIP, clean in place.
Okay.
The whole system is automatically cleaned. You put this caustic solution in there, put the acid in after. But it's cleaned in place, but at certain intervals you have to take everything apart.
Now your meter up here, is that giving you the temperature?
But legally you have to keep the charts for 1 year. But this marks the pasteurization temperature. And if ever there's a cutout, if the temperature goes too low, there's a safety in there, so it cuts out and recirculates. So there's no way that you can put the raw milk into the pasteurized milk.
And that has to be done by law, right? Your
That's
food
by
and
law,
drug?
right.
Yes, that has to be done and kept for a year, like he said.
Right.
All right, so from here it'll continually going up into your...
Then it goes in the vat.
It's still loading now, right?
Right.
And then it'll be 2 hours plus in there?
Right.
Now, go ahead.
Okay, so once the milk is in there, well, actually as soon as you pump the milk in, you put the culture in.
Okay.
To get the culture going, you multiply. So you have to put less culture because they already have 1 hour time to develop. Once the vat is full, we add on the calcium chloride to replace the calcium we lose in pasteurization, but as a preservative. That's all, it's natural. Then we add on the rennet, which coagulates the milk. Rennet is a natural enzyme found in calf's stomach, or nowadays made artificially out of plant matter. So we add that on. We stop the mixer so it can set. It takes about 20 minutes. Once it's set, then we cut it into curds.
Down here. In there?
In there.
Oh, in there also?
As you saw the knives before, there's knives in there.
Yes.
That turn. It's cut into curds. It's with various speeds to...
Oh, okay. Yes. Now, culture. What could you tell me about culture in very broad terms, that what could be added that other people would add too? Any kind of a thing you could tell us about the culture?
It's normal lactic acid.
Lactic acid?
Culture.
Okay.
So it's the main aim for them is to take lactose and transform it into lactic acid.
Okay.
And also there's bacteria in there that produce flavor.
Okay.
There's different balance of bacteria.
So the way you do it and someone else does it is based on that culture.
That's right.
Okay.
And of experience, but if experience with one culture, it doesn't give me the right flavor, add on another one to give more flavor.
Okay.
And different types of cheese might use different kinds of cultures.
All right. Now, when you were in Switzerland during your apprenticeship, did you make this cheese basically the same way?
I made some raclette. I didn't make this one I make now here, but it's similar ways.
Same kind of a process, or do they have it sophisticated as this?
It was more than that. Actually.
More sophisticated, yes. Oh yes? Okay, we'll go where it's not quite so noisy. We'll find out what got this man going up here and how long he's been here in Noyan, Quebec. That's where we are. It's called Fromagerie Fritz Kaiser. Half French, half German.
Fromagerie.
Well, Fromagerie.
That's French.
We just had a short break, and now we're into the retail room, and we're going to get a chance to talk to Mrs. Fritz, whose first name is?
Christine.
Christine, how long have you been married?
13 years.
13 years. So you've been enjoying this for 13 years, huh?
Yeah.
Were you raised on a farm?
No. My parents, they live in the next town.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So where did you meet Fritz? At school?
No, I met his brothers at school, and I met him after.
Oh, his brothers passed you off to him. I see, yeah. So you live right across the road here?
No, we don't. We live 5 kilometers.
Oh, you do? Oh, you don't live right here. Ah, so they can't call you once you go home. Now you have 2 children. He told me off camera.
Yes.
A 3.5-year-old daughter. Her name?
Samantha.
And a son right here. Hi. And this is Adrian. And Adrian is the easiest one to keep of the 2, you said.
I wish.
You think boys are tougher to raise? You haven't had much chance yet. You've only had 15 months.
Yeah.
Huh?
A little bit tougher, yeah.
Well, how long do you think it'll be before he can get over here and start helping his mom and dad to really do anything?
Well, our daughter was putting labels on cheese when she was 2.5.
Is that right? Huh? She must love it too, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Whenever she can, she goes back there.
Okay, so what you come over here, he mentioned, and when I asked him who he had to help, he said 9 or 10 people and his wife.
Yes.
Now, do you work over here on a regular basis?
Every day.
Okay,
Yeah.
what do you do when you're here?
I do a lot of the office work. I help him out in the fabrication, taking out the cheese, washing cheese, making butter.
So how many hours do you put in? You put in 5, 6 hours a day?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Does someone get that phone other than
Yeah,
you?
someone
Okay,
will.
someone will get it. Okay, so this is a retail room where people can come from around the area.
Yes.
These are all your own products?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we know about this orange one. That's the...
St. Paulin.
All right, St. Paulin. Okay, that's the one we saw made. And that's 4 or 5 layers of the paint. We saw Danny doing that. This is the same cheese as that without the covering?
This is Noyan. It's not. It's at a different temperature, and it's aged 6 weeks, and washed every day.
Every day?
Yes, they wash it with a sponge.
He mentioned about a sponge. Now, it's Noyan. Now, that must be a localized name.
That's a local. The original name is Tilsit.
It's a Tilsit.
Yes.
It's a Tilsit. There's a lot of names of cheese, believe me. Probably into the hundreds, right? In
Yes.
names. And a lot of them are localized names like that. And it's a certain, I used to know this better, it's a certain type. Now, you don't sell many of these here, the whole block.
We have a
Or
lot of
wheel, I should. Is that a wheel?
customers will buy the whole wheel.
They
yeah.
will?
Oh yeah, because it keeps more than 10 weeks if you keep it in the wax paper and the plastic bag.
Okay.
Raclette is what he started out with.
Uh-huh.
We started in a small little milk house.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So did you start the producing milk and after you got married?
No, before.
Before he was doing something?
Yes, he was doing the cheese and on the weekends, and then during the week he would drive truck and I would wash the cheese for him.
What kind of driving was he doing? You mean milk trucks or?
No, dump trucks and picking up cattle and stuff.
Right now, I got the impression, we're going to talk to him about that later, that he got his apprenticeship in Switzerland.
Yes, 4 years.
All right. Now, but one interesting thing we saw here was a young man from Switzerland who's here for some training. Is that the idea? Exchange basis? He's going to be here about 1 year total?
Yes, from August to August. Yes.
All right.
We've had 3 so far.
Now, how do you manage that? What do? You volunteer that you're...
Well, first we have to ask 8 months across Canada for the qualifications. If no one applies, then you are allowed to take from any country which you wish. And so we just apply in Switzerland, and whoever writes, and then we check their qualifications, and we hire them.
Work out well?
Yes, the first one was he had his master's degree, and in Europe you only can make it when you're 25 years old. So this one, he's studying still. He has to be 25 before he can make his master's.
So he'll be into cheese making when he gets back?
When he goes back to finish, so he can make his
Now,
master's.
what about his living accommodations while he's here? Do you have to arrange for those?
We help him find a place to live, which is furnished, and the rest is up to him.
Okay.
And of course, they usually stay with us the first 2-3 months in
They
our
do?
house.
Okay. Now we've got help right here. Some reason why you wanted him to bring me this? You're right at it this morning, huh? Oh, you want that back? Okay. So what else do we have in here now?
This is Vacherin.
Yes.
Vacherin. It's also well, it can be mild or strong. It's aged 2 to 2.5 months. This one's Miranda. It's a non-pasteurized milk. It's made from non-pasteurized milk. It's a type of Gruyere cheese.
I'm familiar with Gruyere. I remember that name.
At least 6 months before we sell it.
Now, maybe just to clear up for people and myself, everything we see done out there this morning would have to be done for each of these cheeses.
That's right.
Where does the difference come, whether you're going to make this one, or this one?
It comes with the temperature of the cheese.
Temperature that you make it.
And the size of the curds.
All right. The size of the curds. Okay.
Yes. And how long they mix it.
And the culture.
Yes, the culture too. How much rennet and how much they don't. And the Miranda they put different cultures in because it's non-pasteurized, of course.
How long has he been working with you at the store? He's
Well, he's been here since he was 2 weeks old.
Well, I'll tell you, he put it back where it belongs anyway, didn't he? He put it right back where it belongs. What's your best seller in your cabinet here?
I would say the Noyan and Raclette.
Okay, those are your better.
Yes.
And this, and the end is what? The one with the specks, or
we have garlic and parsley, 5 pepper, and fine herbs.
I didn't realize you made this kind.
The garlic and parsley of these 3 is the best seller.
I thought that was fly season.
That's your best seller in here?
No, just of these 3.
Oh, of
the
those
garlic
3.
is
Okay,
the best
yes,
of
all
these
right.
3. And
So,
then we made a new kind. It's a Roblichon. It's a soft cheese.
It's called, oh, that's the one we saw inside. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we saw that. And what is it again?
Roblichon.
Roblichon.
A lot of people really like this one now.
They do, huh?
Yeah. It goes like little hotcakes.
That's good, huh? That's very good. That's the one you said that takes just as much time to make, and you got to do the same amount of work, and you got less. You only got half the size or a third of the size, but it costs a little bit more.
Yes.
To offset. All right.
And this one's a double cream, so they don't take as much cream
All right.
out of the milk.
We talked about double cream, and you may even add milk or cream to it.
Yes.
That's the double cream. Is that a good seller too?
It's a fairly good seller, yes. A lot of people think double cream is a little fattening, but
So, in addition to selling all these here, you also sell them to your distributors.
oh yes.
And do you sell to distributors or do you sell to stores?
We sell to distributors, and then we sell to club price. I don't know if you have that in
What's a club price?
club price Costco. You have them. It's like you have
Like
a
a
Sam's
co-op?
in the state.
Oh, all right, those big stores. All
But
right.
you have a club price in the state.
All right.
They are very big sellers for us right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do most of the bookkeeping, you say,
Yes.
right? You don't. So you know your customers and everything else. All
Yeah,
right. And
really.
this is stuff that you buy that go good with your products. Is that the
That's
idea?
right.
All right.
In the summer, a lot of people, they come and they want to have a bite of cheese and something. They sit on the grass or somewhere. And of course, the Swiss chocolate.
Now, is this a big enough business in here to have someone who worked here and didn't do anything else for you right in here? Would there be enough business
From
for that?
Friday, yeah, Thursday, Friday, and at Christmas, it's
It is?
unreal. Yeah.
Unreal. That's good. Huh?
On the weekend, we have two of our nieces working, and they're loaded full time.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's great. That's great. Okay. Now this would give us an idea, I guess, of the... He's really going at it, this guy, huh? This gives us some of the ideas of $11.25 a kilo. That's your prices here, correct?
Yes.
And Noyan, $11.25. Saint Poulin,
Mouton Noir is black sheep.
10. A kilo is 2.2 pounds. So you're talking, give that a little less than half of that price per pound. And the cheddar, the Gouda, and the Swiss. It's been 8 years since I've had much to do with cheeses when I was in charge of cheese and dairy products at Customs. All right. Anything else we should know about out here? What's this article that you're looking at on the paper here?
That's the first article they did from La Presse. It's something like the Gazette.
Mm-hmm.
They came to Fritz and they asked if they could interview him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's telling about our factory, and we always, now they're interviewing him quite a bit because of the raw milk situation that's going on in Canada. They want to ban all raw milk cheese.
Oh, okay. There's a possibility of...
Which is ridiculous.
Well, I guess even with the cooking, after it should get rid of any problems, do you
yes.
think?
It should be held 60 days, and after 60 days, the threat of bacteria is gone.
I didn't ask Fritz. He speaks French too, does he?
Yes, he does.
He does. All right. Was Christine French?
No, my parents are from Germany.
You're from Germany also? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was born here, but I speak German, and I learned my Swiss from Fritz.
Oh, gosh, you guys go right together here. Yeah, you teaching your children
We only speak Swiss with them, yes.
Swiss?
Yes.
Oh, that's
Swiss German, yes. And they will be going to French school, and they can speak English. My daughter already speaks English, so.
So she speaks Swiss and she speaks English?
Yes. And we think she
Very
understands the French.
You think she does? That's great.
She goes to French swimming classes and things.
Do you understand French?
Oh yes, I speak French also.
You're glad to know French?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, very, very handy.
Very useful.
Okay. Anything? So you do the cutting here that you in order to sell. You got the scales here. Everything is right here.
Yes.
All right. We're talking with Christine Kaiser, Mrs. Fritz, and we're gonna take another break. Thank you for watching Hometown. Ooh, he hit his head. He didn't cut himself.
Oh, we knocked it over.
As Fritz told us earlier, they cut just a small edge off all around the cheese. And they've been doing that for the past 20 minutes or so while we've been in the showroom.
It's just about right. You wait for the right consistency.
Okay.
This would be just right.
So that's because of the culture that's caused that.
Culture and the rennet.
Yep.
Just let me by. I'm gonna push start.
Okay. Now there's
Let's toss the knives.
the knives inside will be cutting it up.
Right. I think it's gonna be sterilized before it touches cheese. all one mass. They do is get the water out of the cheese.
Take the water out of it?
Get the water out. It's all it. So by cutting it, it's like chains. So you break the chains, and the proteins and fats they go together, and the water can go out, can be released. The smaller you make a grain, the less water you have in it.
The less water
is in the grain, or is in the final product after. But it's also with the heating process after. If you have a bigger grain, but you heat it a lot after, the heat will extract the water too, because the grain itself will shrink and force the water out.
Now, how long will it be in here after you do this?
After I do this, it will be about an hour and 10 minutes.
Afterward?
Yeah. It's a bit full. Let's see the rice.
It's kind of thick, huh?
It's almost like yogurt.
Yeah.
Firm yogurt.
Yeah.
So it's not sour like yogurt. The speed control you have, so you don't go too fast at the beginning. If you go too fast, you make dust, and the dust goes out with the weight, it's a loss.
You make what?
Dust, like cheese dust.
Yeah.
If you go slow, you keep the grains together. You want to make as much as possible field.
You learn that through practice.
Right. Excuse me. Increase speed as you go ahead.
Okay, you're increasing the speed there. Okay.
You can already see the whey is coming out. It's already whey.
Oh yes, you see the whey separating, yes. And that's actually being forced out of the curd.
Right. But you're cutting it, you're making it smaller. The water can be released.
Now, are you the one that always does this?
No. Well, I'm training a new man now. And the Swiss man knows how to do it too. If ever have to go away or something, they can still they can do it.
Now, it isn't a requirement of your man from Switzerland to come here, is it?
No, it's not.
This gives him an advantage, though?
It gives him another learning experience. Away from home, different environment. Even the process of the cheese you make here, you never did in Switzerland. So that was a disadvantage too, to learn something else.
Now, what's your responsibility to him? You pay him?
I pay him, that's all.
You pay him?
Like, basically by contract. He's here for a year, get paid so much a week, and that's
Now, there could come a time, Fritz, that it just wouldn't work out between you and a man who comes. For whatever reason, you just couldn't get along. Can you break the contract and he'd go home, or do you have to put up for the year?
No, that could be arranged.
Could be, but that isn't likely to happen, but it's possible.
It's possible. It happened actually before once, but he left on his own terms. So. He came under false pretenses. So.
What about his medication and things while he's here? That's his responsibility?
It's his responsibility. But normally they take insurance in Switzerland. When they come here, then if something happens, they take care of it. But if something happens in the plant, they're covered.
Okay, now you have a medical insurance for the government.
Right.
Is he covered by that?
No.
No.
It's only covered by something like for work accident.
Okay. Yeah. Now, how long will you keep this up?
This until I get the right size of grain.
Okay.
It only takes between 5 and 10 minutes.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah.
And then they won't get back together again?
No. But then they reverse, it won't cut. It just mixes. Just mixes to stir them up to fold. If we turn it off, they would all go settle down and they would get one big lump. 1,500-pound cheese.
Yes. And try and get it out of there.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough. Happened once when the power went out.
Yeah. Have you added the rennet to it yet?
Oh yes.
It's already been in.
Yes, otherwise it wouldn't be thick.
Okay.
What happens when it's full, the rennet, turn everything off, and then it's added.
Is there an imitation rennet at all being made except for calf stomachs?
There is, yes.
There is an imitation.
Like for kosher products, they use like plant material, synthetic, but it's quite compatible nowadays. It also depends on what kind of cheese you make, if grain is bigger or smaller. Normally for hard cheese, smaller and higher temperatures after.
Hard cheese to be smaller?
Yes. Less moisture in the cheese after. Also you lose moisture in the aging process.
Now if someone came in here who was a cheese maker and he looked at what you have here, would he know what kind of cheese you're making? He would have no idea, right? Because basically it looks the same at this point.
At this point, it could be anything.
Could be anything.
Almost cheddar, mozzarella, this is raclette. Because you can't see what's in it, you can't see the culture.
Yes.
Or the process that comes after.
Okay.
This is similar in all cheese production. The only way it's different, you don't do curd, that isn't soft, you just cut it and then turn it out.
So these knives are going all the way down to the bottom?
Right. You can see them more now. It's
Yes. A lot more liquid now.
right.
And I think you told me 90% would be whey,
That's right.
give or take, yeah? No matter what kind of cheese you're making?
Oh, it matters, yeah. If you make a hard cheese like Swiss type or Gruyere type, it may be 92% whey, 8%. Why else the price is different.
Oh, it's really liquid now.
And mozzarella, you have more moisture, so it's better yield.
Now, do you have yourself a favorite type of cheese that you like, or is it depending on what you're going to eat it with and so forth?
Yeah, that's right. Well, we make some, like San Blaise, very mild. The one he's been painting. For me, it has to have more flavor. Like the tilted you saw, or the raclette, the raw milk cheese that you're going to see later, is something with a bit more flavor. Or the rebloche, which
Yeah,
is
we
soft
saw
cheese.
some of your raw milk cheese. We went out and saw the showroom with Christine.
It's about right.
Now, is this hot in here or cold?
Well, this is 30 degrees. It's about 80 some odd degrees.
Okay, so it's 30 Fahrenheit. Yeah, it's not hot
no,
here.
30 Celsius.
Celsius, rather. 80 degrees. All right.
Now, as soon as you turn it off, the cheese settles down. It's heavier than the whey now.
So it's going to the bottom, and it will not.
It's not very far. So it's still
Yes,
here.
yes.
But
And
you can't let it sit. So we're gonna reverse it. Excuse me.
well, we're going to reverse.
Instead of cutting, it's just gonna mix. In the back of the knife, there's a round course. You won't be able to cut anymore.
And this is just mixing it up now?
That's just gonna mix it up.
Is there much upkeep in a tank like this? The knives and so forth?
Nice, but not really. This is from 1978. What I've used. That's what I could change the mold and gears and things, but nothing else.
So this is your original tank?
Well, I got it for a year and a half now.
Pardon?
I For a year and a half I have the tank.
Oh, so not 78.
No, it's
Oh.
yours. It was built in 78.
Oh, it was built in 78. Okay.
Just keep some way for the pH.
Yep. Now you're checking the pH.
See how the culture's coming right or not.
Okay. I could have got up at 6. There's a lot of water.
There's very little time to waste in this process, as you can see. When they're not making the cheese, they're cleaning and getting ready for the next batch. As I said earlier, this is something that dairy farmers out there can very easily understand, because this is something they do all the time. Fritz has checked the pH, and now he's back up to where we were earlier, coming down.
They want to see your work.
Now these are the bigger wheels.
Those are the raclettes.
Raclettes, right here.
They age 2 months.
Now this is harder than Donnie was doing, because Donnie could tell where he's been because it turned orange. This man got to remember where he's been, see?
That's right.
Your name?
Edward Bastien.
Edward, how long have you been working here?
It'll be 7 years.
7 years. You doing this every day?
Mostly, yes.
Do you ever dream of cheese? Huh?
No, but I've eaten a lot.
You've eaten a lot of cheese, huh?
It's delicious.
It is. What are you putting on here?
It's culture from the cheese. It's culture from the.
This
from the
is
cheese.
more culture you're adding to it?
No, it's culture from the
Wait,
cheese.
Yes.
It's the material I talked to you about before.
Yes.
But the way it gets, you wash some older cheese before.
Yes.
That's the culture already on it. And then transfers it as you wash the cheese.
Okay.
It gets transferred into the water, and then again into the younger cheese.
Now, will this stay on the outside, or will it work its way into
It stays on the outside.
On the outside.
But the flavor part of it, some will go inside.
Okay. And how many times do you do this? Every day, you said?
When they're ripe, when they're fresh,
Yes.
it's 5 times a week or every day. And then as they grow older, it goes down from 3 times a week to 2 times a week. And just before they go out.
One. Okay, now.
It's 2 months.
So they've been in here for 2 months,
Not these, they have been in for a week.
but some of this has
You
been.
have older cheese here, it's been here for about 5 weeks, because you have another cooler with the older ones.
So do you get 2 days a week off too, Edward?
Yes, I do.
Saturday and Sunday.
That's correct,
Everybody
sir.
has Saturday and Sunday, huh? What did you do before you came to the cheese factory?
I was a foreman
Foreman?
Yep.
Doing what?
for Collins and Eichmann manufacturing carpets for cars.
Now, that's a big difference,
Yes, it is.
huh?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I kind of enjoy this this job here because the atmosphere, people, and
You like the people too?
Yes, I do.
They are some nice people.
I'm a very good boss.
Good. You know something here? Hey, they always say that when they're with us. They always say that when the boss is near.
I don't have to.
You don't have to.
I don't have to say it in front of him because I can say it behind him.
And
too.
he knows it too.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Yes, he does.
I'm sure he knows it. That's why he's good if he wants to be. Now, this must be a great place to work in the middle of July.
Oh, hey, everybody
Huh?
wants my job.
Of course.
Everybody wants.
They're
my
out
job.
there where it's 90 degrees or 95, and you're in here where it's, what, 40, 42?
About 55.
55 in here, huh?
Yeah, in the summertime, everybody wants my job.
Everybody wants to work in here in the summer.
In the wintertime, nobody wants.
Yeah. And when we're not in here with you, you got the radio playing too.
That's correct. Yes.
So how long are you in here in one day doing what you're doing?
Well, it all depends on what my boss wants me, if he needs me outside or not in the fabrication room.
Mhm.
And if he doesn't need me out in the fabrication room, or if he's got nothing else for me to do, I'm in here for the whole day.
The whole day? Yeah. Well, if he needs you out there, what happens in here?
Well, then what I have to do is I have to skip some cheese. You know, the oldest ones we skip.
Yes.
Like instead of washing them maybe 3 times a week, we'll do it twice a week.
Okay.
You know.
Yep.
But the main thing is that these white ones have to be washed every day.
Okay, the white ones, huh? So as by the color, you can tell the age approximately.
Yeah, by the color
Yep.
or by the feel of it. The feel when they're getting it right.
Okay, yep. All right.
And also they're marked with the batch number. So
That's the batch number.
You start
Okay.
by number 1 in January and go for the whole year. No matter what product, batch 1 through whatever till you finish.
That's the day?
No, that's the batch number.
The batch number, okay.
This was like the 66th batch of the year, the 71st.
Okay. So there'd be some more 66 somewhere else, or is this?
66 goes backwards here. And then
Okay,
71 going
71 starts here. Okay.
Up to the next like.
Yeah.
You know,
What happened to 67?
That's another cheese. There might be
Another-
Saint-Pelé, there might be
okay.
Noyan.
All right, you don't necessarily,
be-
okay.
no.
You wash the top one.
Yeah, how do you wash the top one?
Up here,
He
yes.
stands up on there, huh?
The table goes on top.
And you bring, what do
The
you,
table goes up and on the floor.
that goes on top of that?
Space for where the tables go, the legs of the table there.
Uh-huh. All right. You rather do the ones down here?
He's not afraid of heights. So.
You're not afraid of
no,
height?
It doesn't matter to me,
No?
up or down.
All right. It gets a little warmer up there. In the winter, it's nice up there, and
Well, actually, it doesn't because you're near the fans. eh?
all right.
That's why I wear this sweater, you know.
Yeah. One of your big expenses here has got to be electricity.
It is, yes.
You got a lot of
But,
cooling.
because this part is new, it's only 2 years old. And even all the coolers are very well insulated.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Now, this may sound silly, but not necessarily. Do you heat your building in the winter, or do you use the heat from your coolers to heat the building?
I heat very little actually. Even the coolers, because it seems odd, but even the cheese seems to give off some
That's right.
temperature.
Okay.
So we heat very little, even in the coolers.
Okay. But the coolers, as they cool, they're giving off heat, right?
Somewhere else.
And then you can trap the heat in the building. And
Not really, no.
no,
No,
the Apple.
Because
people-
everything has to be separate, not to contaminate the air. The air has to be filtered as it comes in.
Oh, all right.
It's a different idea. But in the winter, of course, you don't cool so much because it's cold outside.
Okay.
And then with the hot water systems and all, it keeps it warm enough.
How many coolers do you have?
For cheese, we have 4 coolers.
I think I've seen 3 of them so far. Yeah. Okay.
Right. 2. Yeah, the one with the raw milk, and
Yeah.
then there's another one for raclette on the other side.
That big one, is that the raw milk? The big wheels.
The big wheels are raw milk,
Raw
yes.
milk.
They
Okay.
have to be completely separate because we don't want to mix them with pasteurized products.
Okay. Now, is that a more delicate operation when you use
It is.
non-pasteurized?
Yes, because you don't want to contaminate anything else. So you do it at the end of the week, at the end of the day, and then everything's washed anyways again, not to contaminate pasteurized product.
But to not state to the people, because it's non-pasteurized cheese means it's perfectly safe.
Absolutely.
Absolutely safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the law, as it still is now, you have
Yes.
to keep it for at least 60 days. And
Okay.
this cheese ages for 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
And then before it's sold, it's tested for bacteria.
Uh-huh. Could you make more cheese than you're making now, if you had the market for it?
If I had, yes. Yes,
You could get the milk too, could
the
you?
milk you could get too,
You
yes.
can get the milk.
With certain limitations, but you have certain volume to grow in.
Could you do that with the equipment you got now? You can make more with the equipment?
Yes.
Go on to another shift? Is that what you
Either
do?
one more shift, or like right now you know, or produce Saturdays or stuff like that. But I'd rather add another shift than have people come in Saturdays because we need the days off.
Okay. Now your people get holidays,
Right.
2 weeks or whatever.
Right.
How do you make up for them when they're gone and you need 9 people and not here?
Well, when we have part timers,
You do have some part.
or because not to take the vacation in the summer, the production is lower anyways.
Okay.
So it makes up for it. It works out good like that.
But they can't go play hockey in the summer. These people are hockey people, aren't they? A lot of them?
No, but they play at night.
They play at
like
night.
at the old timers. you play at night
Yeah.
on a Friday. So when you get hurt or go home late, it's Saturday, so it doesn't matter.
That's the way it plays.
Yeah, where do you play hockey?
In Rouse's Point.
You still play?
Right? Yes.
You
Well,
play in Rouse's Point?
Not right now. It's the season's
Yes.
over.
Yes.
But in the team there.
Is that a
all
team
times.
from Noyan here?
No, it's Can-Am teams. It's a lot of half Canadians, half Americans.
Okay.
Pretty much from all over. Even some guys from Montreal.
They tell me you also fly a plane.
That's right.
You're a pilot?
Right.
How long have you been a pilot?
For 4 years.
You train here or in
I
States?
trained in the States, in Plattsburgh,
Uh-huh.
and
What?
by Flying Nuns.
Yes.
And Then I got my Canadian license also last year. So in order to buy a plane over here.
You have a
I
plane?
have my own plane, yes.
Where do you land in your...
Right in the backyard.
You
here.
do? You use it for business or do you use it for pleasure?
For pleasure.
Okay. When your daughter gets 7 years old, is she going to fly across the country?
I don't think
Not
so.
too likely.
No.
What do you think about that?
I think it's kind of silly. I mean, the responsibility was really at the instructor and the parent.
Absolutely.
To take off and let it like that. I mean, I wouldn't do it. Better be 2 hours late than be dead.
Yes. Now, do you think that if he had been flying the plane instead of her, you may still have crashed?
Absolutely.
You could still have crashed,
Because I'm
right?
sure the instructor took over at the end because he had no choice.
Yes,
He has to.
yes.
But if the
late.
wings eyes up and you're in the storm, it's a bad situation.
And you weren't high enough to be able to get any gliding, nothing, right?
That's it.
Just came straight down.
Right.
Planes don't come straight down very often, do they?
No. If you get into stall and then into spin,
Yeah.
they come straight down.
Yeah. Yes. Otherwise, you can glide a long
You can
way.
glide, like if you have an engine failure.
Right. Your wife's not a pilot yet.
No.
Does she fly with you?
Yes.
She likes to fly with you? Did she say your flying is better than your driving? No?
No. See, the airplane only goes so fast.
Yes, it only goes.
The car, you always can push a bit
Your
more.
car goes faster?
The car goes faster than the airplane, yeah.
We're in another one of the coolers and we're talking with Fritz Kaiser. It says it right there. Look, you want to know how it's spelled? There it is. Fromagerie Fritz Kaiser.
Fromagerie.
Yeah, Fromagerie?
Fromagerie Fritz Kaiser.
There you go.
In Noyan.
You can tell this is hand work, and you wouldn't want this person to build you a house. You see how that's not completely square right here? What makes this?
So it's when you have two cheese in the same mold, and one is a bit off, but it goes like that.
Okay.
It's
But it
quite-
tastes
it's
just
quite
as
bad.
good.
Oh, it tastes
Just as good. Okay. Now, the brine on here is done with a solution?
No, it's the same rind as the other ones.
Yes.
A natural rind with red smear, but because it's raw milk, we have to keep it separate in a separate brine when we make them, so they don't contaminate the other cheese if there's any bacteria in there that's not wanted in the other cheese.
Okay.
That's also why it's in a separate cooler, keep it completely separate from the other ones.
You sell a lot of this?
We could sell a lot more, but we keep it to low production because we're not really equipped to do more and just fill this cooler here.
Okay.
We'd rather sell more at a higher price than give it away with all the work, because it takes 6 to 8 months to age it, and also the young ones have to be turned every day, and the older ones 3 times a week, so it's quite a bit...
6 to 8 months in here, huh?
Right, so it's labor intensive.
Now, as this gets older, will you raise it to the top? Or?
No, they stay here, they stay down.
So you don't use the top part very much?
No. Because this used to be a cooler where you had the other cheese on the other side.
Okay. All right, I guess you can't tell us too much else in here, huh?
No.
Just another cooler, that's what it is. Okay, we're gonna go out again. They're loading the cheese now onto your racks.
Right.
And you told us, I think we'll see, well, these are gonna be dunked in that big vat,
In the brine,
the brine. Are they left in there for a while, or?
it's depending on the cheese, from 8 hours to 2 days.
That long?
Right, so these are 9 hours. If you have raw milk cheese, might be 2 days, 3 days in the salt.
Now, is it safe for me to say that the old style of making cheese many years ago in Switzerland or other cheese-producing countries took a lot longer, more aging than it is today?
No, it's still the same. It depends. It really depends on the cheese you make.
Well, like the mozzarella people told me that usually mozzarella could not be made in a day or two. It would take a couple of weeks,
yes,
right?
yes.
Before, you know?
Yes.
Before all these new innovations and how you do these things.
But yeah, because mozzarella is really done differently because it's recooked after, and this is not cooked after. It's really the bacteria you have in there, and they have to grow. It takes certain time to do that. Even for these, it takes still say 3-4 weeks. But actually, these were 2 months. Sorry, these are Noyan. It takes still 2 months.
Okay.
You can't really make it go faster. That's how long it takes. You can sell them at 6 weeks, but they're just going to be milder.
You can see what, well, so far this morning you've seen the milk go in. It came out in the form of the curds and the whey that came out of that pipe. They then drained off the whey, and then they sliced it. Then they put it in the containers. They put the top on the containers. Then they put it in here and they pressed out and left it there for a while. And now, then they took it out and trimmed the edges to take the edge off. And then they put it back down, and now once the pH is right, now they're emptying them and bringing them in for the vat. The next process is for in there from 8 hours to a couple days, you said.
Right.
And what determines which of those it is?
It depends on the cheese. Normally the smaller the cheese, the less time it takes for salt to penetrate. And also the consistency. If it's harder cheese, it takes longer. Like the Miranda, it's raw milk cheese and bigger. And the Burma cheese, it takes longer for salt to penetrate and to finish off. And for smaller cheese, it goes faster, like this, maybe 8 to 10 hours. And the difference also makes if you circulate the salt time, because they always have loose salt around it. Instead of if you just put it on the top, it takes longer. Because around the cheese, eventually you have whey, because it also pulls some whey out of the cheese. There's different factors involved to determine the time.
You've got more space, twice as much space or 3 times as much in your coolers as you have in the manufacturing end of it.
Right, because of the time.
That's where the time involved, yeah.
Yes. Right now it's low inventory, but like for the fall, there's normally 40 to 50 tons in stock.
Do you have cheese going out every day?
To Montreal, we go 2-3 times a week, like okay. Montreal and the surrounding areas. But the store is open 6 days a week.
I worked for Dun & Bradstreet many years ago, and one of the biggest problems that most businessmen had was collecting their money. Right. Do you have any accounts receivable problems in general?
Not in general, no. You just have to stay on top of things that guys don't pay up, and you know.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. When you do the work and don't get your money, you know. Right. Your bills continue, and you, even though demand is good for it, you still have to have it come in for a turnaround.
That's right.
You pay for your milk at the Federation twice a month, or what?
Yeah, twice a month.
Twice a month. They pay the farmers, I think, twice a month too,
that's
right? We'll load this one up and we'll go and see them how they drop this into the vat. How many of these can you put in your vat?
4 racks like this, which makes up to one batch.
Why aren't they filling the top one?
Depends on the amount of how many we have.
Oh, you know that ahead of time?
Yes. 293 to be exact.
293?
Yeah. No, 94. I found another one.
Whoop, you found another one. How did you know that?
I don't know how many fit in the press, plus in the small press, plus if they put some extras.
Okay. 294 wheels. And you'll get roughly the same amount next time?
Next time you make a different kind, you make the raclette.
Oh, you make it a raclette
now? It's a bigger size, it's about 200 wheels, from 180 to 200. But that's good, it's sold by weight, not all by unit.
Okay.
But some are a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller.
Okay, we're going to see they're hooking up the bar across. Lift up the whole container, drop it into the vat. It'll stay in here from 8 hours to 2 days, depending the kind of cheese and how fast it will absorb the brine or the salt. You can see that there isn't enough in here yet to go over the top of the top rack, because as you put more in, it will rise. It will rise in the amount. Now the brine is coming up. By the time you get the other 2 in, they'll be filled right over the top. Just like that. Okay. I don't have to be told you're processing cheese now. This is your processing room?
No, packaging.
Uh-huh.
So cheese is packed. See, This is sample A.
Okay.
So some is packed whole wheels, like this.
Uh-huh.
So it's basically you have the cheese. See, that's now at the 4 coats on it.
Right.
They're dry, so it's not sticky anymore. So no paint comes off.
Right.
Then the label goes on. This to identify the cheese, the ingredients, where it's made, either where it's made or the plant number.
Right.
Moisture and fat contents.
That requirement is so that if anything ever happens to this cheese later on, they would know where to go back, either the plant number or...
They know where it's made.
Yes.
And then also, as we pack, the batch number goes on there. If ever you have to know what this batch, then you know where it is, you know where you shipped it to. And
if there were ever a problem in any one particular batch. So when it gets in here to be wrapped, it's ready to go out.
That's right.
Okay.
But like these here, because they're vacuum packed, as soon as they finish painting, we pack them. They might still be here for another 2 weeks.
Oh, they could be.
Oh yeah, it's just in storage.
So when you do it, it's not already sold.
No.
Okay.
Only when the orders come in, they might come in for a couple pallets of this, and it's ready to go.
Okay. Now, this is the pieces like that?
Those are pre-packed for club price.
Okay.
Or price club, you call them in the States.
Uh-huh.
So there's one more sticker missing. Gonna be a sticker on with the barcode and all that.
On the barcode, yeah. They put their own barcode, or do you?
We put it here.
Put it on here.
Yes.
And there you can see the consistency of the cheese. Remember, it went in. It was curds. And then the pressing, obviously.
Really would have one that's
okay.
finished.
Here's one with the barcode, giving you the grams net, and then made from pasteurized milk, bacterial culture, salt, calcium chloride, and rennet. Noyan, Quebec. And 725 grams. I don't do too well. That's what?
Pound and a half.
Pound and a half? Okay.
Roughly.
Okay. That's the way it's done. And that's also been shrink packed. They put it in, and now she's weighing it, and the label's already come out printed, right? Does she have... Do you have to punch in the amount of the weight, or does it do it automatically?
It's programmed. You program the head to have like the tear, because there's a tear with the bag. If you weigh with the box, the tear of the box, and also what kind of cheese it is. Mm-hmm. And you have all kind of information, the weights, the date of packaging. This at the end would be the batch number. So
that's it right there. Yes, right on the whole thing. So when you are buying cheese or anything, look around. You will find out all those numbers on there mean something. Probably even the date. Did they give you the date of manufacture?
The date of packaging.
Date of packaging. It could be today. All right. Is it a problem for you to give me an idea of how many different people you sell cheese to? Rather not mention that?
No, because most of it is sold by distributors.
Distributors, okay.
And then where we sell direct is like Price Club and some restaurants. But the rest is sold by distributors who in turn sell it to chain stores, to specialty stores.
Okay, so
maybe 85% is sold in Quebec, and the rest is in the other provinces.
Okay, so this is your unloading door here to go outdoors.
There's another cooler.
Another cooler?
Well, for the finished product, for the packed product.
Oh, then it goes from there outdoors.
It goes from there out. And here also we put the cheese to dry like the same plan. Or the Port Royal. This is the double cream.
Okay,
As
so
you can
this.
see, because it's double cream, you painted yellow. This is their own invention here.
But this will be wrapped too before
This
you
will be wrapped or pre-packed for club price.
Okay. Yep. All right. So everything's going to go through this room sooner or later, right here.
Right.
Water. You use a lot of water. You have your own well.
Right.
You got a good supply of water.
Yes. It's over 300 feet deep, but it's good supply.
Okay. Yeah. You use a lot of water.
Right.
Lots of water. Okay. So if you're in Canada, or you want to come up and buy any cheese, it's You're just above. How do we get here from the border?
Through Alberg.
Through Alberg.
From Alberg, it's 2 miles.
Just 2 miles above Alberg.
Off the border.
And you cross up on the Alberg. Go. It's the first road to the right.
Alberg, well, it's Alberg Noyan border.
Yes. Then you take the first road.
The first road to the right.
And you go to a dead end. It's a T. You turn left, and you're 300 feet.
That's right.
Right. What's the name of this road?
It's Fort Concession.
Fort Concession?
Right.
What's that named after?
Well, Fort like first, second, third, fourth.
Oh, fourth. Okay. Yeah. All right.
That's my accent kicking in.
All right. All right. Yeah, that's all right. I thought it was a fort. That's all right.
No.
All right. And anything else we should know? What's happening in here?
No, that's it. It's packaging.
Have you always had this same type of finish in here?
Yes.
Or,
It's from the beginning, but it's because it's easy to wash, doesn't rust.
very easy. It doesn't rot. Keep clean very easily. Okay. How often do you have inspections by the government?
Once a month.
Once a month, huh?
Once a month for sampling. They take cheese, they sample.
They do that too, yes.
They test it.
You have an FDA or a Food and Drug here, just like we have in the States.
Yeah, well, it's federal inspectors.
Federal inspectors, exactly.
And provincial. Actually, if there's too many instances, they have to Health Canada, they have to federal, the provincial, and they don't all agree on the same thing. So it's, but it's just have to go along with what's going.
Okay, you see hoses all over the place where they wash down. Okay, stay with us. We're going to leave you again, but you're watching Hometown Cable. Our program's called What's Going On Here on every day. Our What's Going On Here every Sunday at 12:30. 4:15, 8 p.m., midnight, on 8 the following morning, 5 times to see the same show. We're very pleased to be up here, and we found out about Fritz and this business up here by way of his father, Paul Kaiser, that I talked to when we were at Bordeaux Brothers. Very interesting talk, and as a result of that, his father didn't even tell him he was on TV. You going to tell your father you were on TV?
Yeah, he will know.
Tell him, he'll know it.
He'll
Okay.
know it.
I guess we've seen an awful lot, or most of the cheese operation, and we talked about the cream that you drain off because the test is too much, and you make your own butter,
Right.
called Kaiser butter.
You could call it that, but it's sold in bulk, so it doesn't.
Okay,
It doesn't have
it's
a
sold in bulk.
Right, but 50-pound blocks.
Okay, who do you just sell that to?
That goes to wholesalers, or they sell it to
Okay.
bakers, restaurants.
Now you know. You've heard of butter fat, and when you make butter, butter fat is about 92%.
In the butter? No, it's 83%.
83%. Now you can get different, you can buy different kinds of butter with more butter fat or less butter fat?
No.
83?
Normally the law is
83?
16%
Right.
water. So
All right. What's the other 16%?
it's water.
Water.
Maybe 16% water and traces of proteins and some other ash.
Okay, so when you put butter in the skillet to make your steak and you let it heat up, what's left when the moisture goes off is all butter fat.
It's all fat.
All fat. Okay, in here you do what?
Well, we have the butter churn. So we make twice a week, we make butter.
You put cream in there.
We put cream in it. It churns
Uh-huh.
until the butter forms.
How-
It takes about an hour for a batch. Then we drain out the buttermilk. Then it's washed. The curd, well, not the curds. The butter grain is washed with cold water to drain out the rest of the proteins that's with the buttermilk. And then it just mix it till it's all one lump, till it's smooth, and there's no water, no visible water in the texture of the butter.
Right. So that even though buttermilk is not the same as whey, on the other hand, it's what's left over from the solids.
Right.
All right. Whey you'd have with your curds and your cheese, and here you'd call it buttermilk.
Right.
The liquid that you-
It's different. It's also different
I understand.
composition.
Yes.
What you have in cream, you might start out with 30% butter fat in the cream, so that means the rest is water, and it's the buttermilk.
Yeah. Do you sell buttermilk too?
No, I don't.
Well, so what do you do? That also for
it's
pigs?
also pig feed.
Pig feed. All right. Now what's over in the other vat?
That's where we keep the cream. So the cream we took out this morning from the milk was repasteurized and is now cooling down.
Okay. And
And then tomorrow morning is we make butter.
more butter. Now what's happening right here?
This one is Stefan is a cheese processor. to make processed cheese.
Okay, now what do you mean by processed cheese?
The process means the cheese processed. You take cheese, you add on other products like other milk solids like milk powder, whey powder, salts, flavors, depending what you're going to do. Even liquid whey or buttermilk is added on. If you want to have a spreadable cheese, of course the moisture has to be higher. Then we make one that's smoked, like sausage is smoked cheese, like smoked cheddar and smoked Swiss. It's more firmer cheese.
Is that a big item in your business?
No, it's not. We started to do it because of, as you see, the trimmings we had when we trimmed the cheese off. Of some, if there's return cheese or cheese that was too old.
Okay.
So it's reused in that sense.
All right.
Cheese get yellow.
How does cheese get yellow?
That's cheese coloring.
That's
like
cheese,
if you have.
That's the butter, the butterfat color.
You mean orange or?
Velveeta cheese.
Yeah, that's. I don't know if you should call it cheese, but that's coloring. It's
coloring they put in?
It's coloring they put in. There's no other way to add color but by coloring. Even if you see purple cheese, it's coloring. Because natural is white, creamy colored. The older cheese is and the drier a cheese is, the more it's yellowish. But never orange like if you see orange cheddar, it's because they add color.
But it tastes the same, right?
It should taste the same, but it's just for color. Because people say for sure this tastes different because it's color.
Because it's
but
your
it's
eye.
not. It's
Absolutely.
because you see it. Yeah.
I can remember when I was young, we used to all we could afford was margarine, and margarine we would buy in the store, and it was white. Margarine was white, nothing more than white. A pound of butter, margarine, and it was white, and it didn't look very appetizing. So with each package was a little tiny package of coloring that was orange. And I remember my mother would take it and you'd put the pound in a bowl, and she'd sprinkle this orange, and she'd start to mash it like you would potatoes. And the more she would flip it and go back and forth, it would start to turn until it turned orange. Then it looked like butter. It was yellow, looked like butter. But the taste would be absolutely the same with or without it, right? But your eyes is what tells you.
Because if it doesn't look appetizing, then we'll eat it. But the online looks good. It's still the same.
Yeah, you could put green coloring. Imagine what that would taste like, but it would be the very same. But it wouldn't seem exactly. All right, and you devote a big room here for what apparently is a small percentage of your business.
Yeah, because when we do make processed cheese, it takes up quite a bit of room. Because you prepare the cheese and the mixtures of cheese you do, then you process, and you have another two people packaging it. So it takes room. And it's better when you build to build bigger than be stuck in the corner.
I agree. Do your machinery. Do you have people who can maintain your machinery here on premises?
Normally we do it ourselves.
You do it on your own, huh?
Yes.
Well, I suppose this is comfortable in here as any place we've been and we can hear. Let's talk a little bit about Fritz Kaiser. Just a minute. We'll take a very short break and we'll come back and we'll find out about Fritz, where he came from, how he started this business, and how he got to be such a millionaire. This worked out well for both of us. I got a chair to sit in and he got his cheese in the background in the picture. It worked out well. Fritz.
Pretty good.
I know your dad was from the Black Forest, Germany.
Right.
He later moved to Switzerland and married a Swiss girl, right? And rented, I guess, a farm in Switzerland. Right. And you were born in Switzerland?
That's right.
How old were you? And did you come over with your dad when he came over in 75?
They came over in 75. I immigrated into Canada. I only stayed 2 weeks and returned to finish my apprenticeship. Because when they came over, I had started already my apprenticeship as a cheesemaker and a dairy professional, like different products in cheese. And I wanted to finish it because I saw, even as I came here, it was 20 years ago, even on the market there wasn't so many specialties. There was a big hole to be filled, actually.
Now, apprentice, what do you mean by an apprentice?
Apprentice, you work at a factory, you go from department to department. Every month you change. You go 1 day a week, you go to trade school, especially geared for whatever trade you're learning. And that was for 4 years.
And so it's a training before...
It's a training, it's professional training.
You get a certificate or something that say that you are no longer an apprentice, yes?
Oh yes, because as apprentice you get paid very little, but once you finish your courses and all that, then that's when you're a professional after.
All right, you got out of school. How old were you when you got out of your apprentice?
I was 20 years old.
20 years old.
So basically, you start with 16 years. You start an apprenticeship, which could last from 2 to 4 or 5 years, and then you start.
So you didn't go to 12 years of school?
No.
Does everyone do this, or if?
Pretty much, because
Okay.
the school is more intensive. It's like there's summer vacation is 5 weeks, not so many months. You know, it's more geared for academics. And then after school, you go and learn a trade, or go to higher trade, of course, to universities and stuff like that.
Where were you in line of the 7 children?
I'm the third youngest.
Third youngest, okay. When you were in Switzerland growing up, your dad had a farm. You grew up on a farm.
He had a farm rented, which was quite common in Switzerland actually, because farmers are very expensive. He had a farm rented from the city of Zurich because they own farms. There were 6 boys and 1 girl. Of course, if you're in a small farm, I mean, at least to the standards from here was small. Over there is a good sized farm. 6 boys wouldn't have enough work on one farm, so they all learned different trades. So two actually did the agricultural training. Some other did mechanics, and actually 2 youngest ones, they were still in school when they came over here.
So all 7 were born in Switzerland?
Switzerland, yes.
Okay. Now they've moved over here to Noyan. Your dad has a big farm, right? Or more than one. Big operation.
It's a few farms, but it's one farm.
One farm over here. Now, when you came back over here, you were 20, so that's you came over about 1979, 80?
78.
78. And is that when you started the business?
No, then for 2 years I worked in the farm. I helped there. We built the barn. It's there now. And then I started very slowly, because I learned for 4 years I want to do something with that. So I started very slowly. We bought the kettle, 40-gallon kettle to make cheese in. Started on Saturdays, make a couple of batches like that, and then maybe on Fridays and Saturday. And in the meantime, then I didn't work on the farm anymore. I was working as a trucker in another farm to earn some extra money. And then the business grew slowly, as we go along. And then in '85, I built this factory here that's now.
Now, was this part of your dad's farm?
It was part of the farm.
It was, okay. So
we were able to buy a piece out.
Not big enough to operate a farm. Enough for the house?
It's not just actually for the business.
Okay. And you were married by that time, I think. Your wife said you were married 13 years?
Yes. In
okay, so you got married in 83? Yeah.
Right.
And
by then we were still in the small plant across the street, which was an old milk house.
Yeah.
I had a basement built. And then we made cheese in there.
Did your wife work out at the time?
She worked somewhere else, but then she also worked in the cheese. Like when I was maybe on the road in the trucking, she would take care of the cheese at home.
But it takes a pretty good amount of money to get something like this started,
Well, to start at the beginning,
we've got customers. We're gonna make a stop right here.
Okay.
We had a delightful pause where you made money instead of spent money just now.
That's right. That's right. You can't just make cheese; you have to sell it too.
You got to sell it. You've been very kind to us this morning, Fritz. We appreciate your time very much. We were talking about your getting in the business. Now you started about '83. You said with the building.
81.
81 with the building.
Not this one. I started like in an old milk house.
Yes.
With the cellar.
Now you mentioned with a vat. An old metal bucket. Now here, I didn't know that they use that to make cheese. That's what they boiled it in and got it ready?
They're still doing that in the Alps.
Is that right? Yeah, this is the way. And another customer coming in. We brought the customers here at noon, the noon period. That's the way it was. Right, when you were starting out, now a young man like yourself, just 3 years out of his apprenticeship, it's tough to get started with money. You weren't able to save that kind of money.
No, well, I started with very little money because the setup was there. Maybe I started with 3,000. Oh, okay. That's my daughter coming in.
Hi, daughter. Hi. We can talk with her. Watch your fingers on the door. Hi,
Samantha.
Samantha.
There's some mommy.
You want to come talk to us, Samantha, too? Maybe? No? So, all right, now, and it's pretty tough for your dad with 7 children to have much money for all of you to get started.
No, this was money saved up during
Good for
the
you, yeah.
apprenticeship.
Huh?
And then I got a small loan for another $5,000.
Uh-huh.
So, and then later on with the money earned, the business grows.
Uh-huh. And so Samantha's 3.5,
Right?
and she went to a birthday party this morning, huh?
That's right.
Yeah, she's a big helper, too. I heard she puts the labels on packages.
And geez, sometimes she helps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, what a pretty girl, yes. She'll be going to school pretty soon, too.
A couple of years.
And I heard she takes care of her brother when
That's right.
she's here. That's a big help to Mom, huh? And you? All right, so in general, what's new in cheese, or what's next for you? 15 years here now. Any plans that you could tell us about? Anything you'd like to do?
No new cheese is coming out. But
Uh-huh.
we just want to keep up the quality of the cheese we have now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe improve here and there on manufacturing where we can. Of course, also like everywhere to cut down costs, but not to jeopardize the product itself. And I'm happy the way it's been going and the way it's going now.
There's a lot of handwork too, isn't there?
There is a lot
of handwork.
handling, yes.
You're lucky to have good employees that stay with you,
That's
and
right.
it's nice to have your wife out here.
Yes.
You have your wife nearly 24 hours a day to each other here,
Yes.
and your children are over here with you.
Right.
That's great. Do you have future thinking about maybe your children would get into business with you, your son? We never know.
You never know.
And you could have 5 more like your dad, and you could all get in here with you.
That's right. That's right.
Well, listen, again, thank you very much. And if you want to come up here to see and pick up some of this cheese right at the factory, you come through the Alberg crossing. You go up about a half a mile.
1 mile.
1 mile. Take that first turn to your right. There's a sign off the road there that says Fromagerie Kaiser. And you just go at the end of that road, which is only about maybe a half a mile to a mile, and you turn left and you're 300 feet or so, and you're right here.
That's
right there, right?
The Laterno Road.
The Laterno Road is what you're looking for off that original road. And you get on this road, and are you open on Saturday and Sunday for sales?
We're open on Saturdays.
On Saturday, not on
6
Sundays.
days a week.
Okay. And you're open what hours?
From 8 to 5.
Okay, that ought to be a good enough time.
Yes.
And thank you very much, and say hello to your dad for us.
Thank you. It's nice
Pleasure.
to have
We
you.
really appreciate. Now, this may not be your first interview on television, but it's got to be your longest.
That's right.
You see some
The
pictures on the wall where
The
they.
first one in English too. So.
Oh, the others were in French.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, all right. Thanks for watching Hometown Cable. We'll see you next Sunday. My name is Bob Venn. Calvin Castine has the camera. It's Hometown Cable. What's going on here? Today we've been very fortunate to make a extended tour of a cheese factory. It all starts out the same. They come out tasting differently at the end because of culture.
Culture.
Thanks.